Hey, everybody, this is the Tax Lady, and this is our hour to talk taxes and money and planning for next year and answering those letters that the IRS sends to you, and we'd love to hear from you, 803-0930, 803-0930. And in the studio, I just want you to know we look really good today. Normally, we look really bad, because we come in like it's Saturday, right? But today is Steve Jacobson's wedding.
Right.
He's marrying Erin. I think they're already married, right, Chris?
I believe so. I believe it was at 2:00.
So we're going to the reception, and we all look really a lot better than normal.
We clean up
up pretty nice. Yeah,
we really do.
So I wish you had visual radio, but we don't have it. But we're all dressed up, and congratulations to Steve and Erin. That would be TV, right? Congratulations to Steve and Erin. We wish them all kinds of luck, and they're going to go off to Philadelphia.
That's right. Yep. And
so we will miss him.
Wife is going to become a minister, and what an exciting avenue and proposition.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But anyway, speaking of going to school, we thought this would be a great segue to talk about going back to school and things that you should know, and when should you do a 529 plan, and what are some of the credits. And really, kids are going to be getting back to school here in college in about 3 weeks.
Right. That's right.
So we wanted to talk about back to school, back to college. One of the things, of course, if you have yourself or your dependent, which would be your child usually, or your spouse, in a 4-year degree program of higher education, and they haven't gone for at least 4 years before, then they qualify for a special tax credit on your tax return, and that's called the
American Opportunity Tax Credit, and it's a phenomenal credit, and boy, you got to jump on board if you have a person in college in your household and they're your dependent. It's really a great credit. The first $1,500 is a non-refundable credit up to at the top of the return, and at the bottom, $1,000 is a refundable credit. So up to a $2,500 credit, and it's a great credit. And then also, when you're doing that American Opportunity Tax Credit, don't forget to do the New York credit too, because if you qualify for that federal one, probably you're going to qualify for the New York one.
And those are and the New York one is a refundable credit too, right, Chris?
Yep.
Unless.
Well, $200 up to $400 refundable, unless you use it as an itemized deduction on the state, where it would be more than a $400 benefit for you.
Right, and it's not really a refundable credit, reduces the tax liability.
Correct.
Right, but now here's the thing with the American Opportunity Tax Credit. It's for and usually who's taking this would be the kids, right?
Right, that's exactly
right. And so what happens with your kids when they're in college and they're maybe making $3,000 or $4,000 part-time, and who wants to take the credit?
Well, the kids want to take the credit, but they don't. It follows the dependency. So if the parents have the dependency, they get the credit. And 99% of the time, it's better for the parent to do it because, like you said, if the child's making $4,000, even if the child makes $8,000, they're not going to benefit $2,500 like the parents.
That's exactly right. Because if the child was, let's say, making $6,000, all right, the child isn't going. It wouldn't have their personal exemption, but they'd have their standard deduction.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
So there would be a very, very small liability, $400 or $500.
$20.
Is that all?
$5,800? Oh no, because no personal exemption. Yep,
right.
Yep.
So let's say a couple $100 at the very most. The credit mom and dad would get is $2,500.
Yeah. And not to mention the kid, if they're under the age of 24 and they don't support themselves, they're not supposed to get the refundable portion of that AOTC credit too.
Right, but I think it's done wrong a lot.
Oh, it's done wrong
and
a lot.
So if you're a parent and you have a kid in college and the kid is giving you grief, what we always suggest that the parents do is sit down. Let's do this together. Let's see what Junior would have gotten if he had filed it using what he really can do legally, and have the parents get the $2,500 on theirs, and maybe give the kid $300 or $400 of it. It's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. Yep.
So American Opportunity Tax Credit, you have to be the first 4 years of higher education. Now, does it have to be college?
No, a vocational school counts as long as it's a certified school, meaning that you can get financial aid to go to that school.
So you could be going to truck driving school.
Yep.
Right?
Beauty school.
Mechanic school, beauty school.
Massage
right?
school.
Right.
Lots of different schools.
And what if you, let's say that you're somebody that has a 2-year degree and you've been working in a job, you've been laid off, and now you're back in college, you've never taken the AOTC, and you're maybe 45 or 50 years old. Is that available to you?
Absolutely, it is. Yep, without a doubt. And I really want to say, one of my clients just got a letter the other day from the IRS saying, you took the AOTC credit, which is a really, really good credit, and we just want to verify because she's been going to school for a long time, and I'm hoping, because I've only done her return for 3 years, that she didn't claim it another year. What I'm saying is you really have to have your bookkeeping straight. If you think you took it for 4 years, they'll catch you if you've taken it for 5 years.
And the other thing is, I'm sorry, Chris, for stepping on you, but I mean, and the other thing is the way that the colleges do the accounting, that can mess up whether you can take the American Opportunity.
Yeah, because technically you're in school 5 years.
Right.
If you think about it, because you start in September. So if you and then they do the pre-billing.
Right.
So you're really taking credit for a semester the first year you haven't even gone to yet, even though it's supposed to be amount billed, because they go by amount billed, not amount paid, which is box 1 of the 1098T, where box 2 is the amount billed. So technically, the schools should be filling out box 1, amount paid, because then there would be no problem come tax time.
That's exactly right. And especially if you're going to a Canisius or a private school where the tuition's very high, you don't need that first semester loaded in with that next year, because you're going to get the maximum AOTC credit anyway. Right?
Right.
All right. Now, what happens after American Opportunity Tax Credit?
Then the lifetime learning credit will slide in, and so that's for anybody who has taken more than 4 years of college, and that is only
or if they're not going to school, at least
full-time.
Half-time.
Right. And so that's a non-refundable credit.
Up to $2,000. And it doesn't mean after your 4-year degree. It means after your 4th year of college. So if your child or you went for accounting for 3 years and you said, "Ooh, boring. I want to be a lawyer." So you started again. That 3 years already count to the AOTC, so you got 1 year left for the AOTC.
And then
anything
learning.
After that is the lifetime learning credit.
And bear in mind, parents that have kids in college, you can take a child as a dependent up till age 23,
as long as they're full time.
Not up to age 24.
Yep.
Okay, provided they aren't giving over 50% of their own support, and they're at least a full-time student for at least
5 months.
5 months out of the year.
Right.
So you can claim them as a dependent. But let's say you have a child that's 26 and they're making less than the standard deduction. You can still claim them, provided let's say the kid's in college to be a doctor and you're paying for everything for them. They're still your dependent. However, you're not going to get the American Opportunity Tax Credit. You're going to have lifetime learning, and it's because anybody can be a dependent
as long as they pass the 5 tests.
That's right. Once your children up to the age of 24. All right,
right.
If they're full-time students. Okay, I'm Esther Goulias, the tax lady, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. Love to hear what you have to say. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be with your calls on the other side. Would that be the wedding march?
Esther!
Can you imagine?
By who, though?
2 weeks. Oh, by an organist.
Richard Wagner.
Oh, Wagner did that?
Yes.
Anyway, that's, of course, because Steve and Aaron got married today, and Steve always said he would never get married.
That's right.
And I even heard things that he was talking about children, and he always said he didn't even like children. So it's remarkable what love will do. I'm Esther Goulias, the tax lady, 8030930, 8030930. We're talking about getting ready for college. The next thing we want to talk about is 529 plans, how you can save money in taxes using 529. We got Larry waiting here in the wings. Hey, Larry, how you doing?
Yes, you're doing great, Esther. Thank you so much. And Esther, I think you are an incurable romantic.
Well, I'm always trying to match people up. If you were my client and you were single and you said that you were looking for somebody, I'd be looking for somebody for you too.
Well, Esther, I think I've got to call you after hours and set that up.
So there's no Mrs. Larry?
At this time, no, Esther.
Larry, you gotta send me your specs because I have all these lovely ladies looking for a lovely guy, and you're down in Georgia. Are you kidding me? I could probably get you fixed up in 15 seconds. So, Larry, what can I do for you today?
I think you have like 8 marriages to
I
your
do.
name.
I got about 8 clients of mine that I've got sets of people.
Wow.
Because if I find somebody that's,
Compatible.
maybe lost a spouse and somebody else that lost a spouse, and I just say, I have somebody, and then I give them the numbers, and then they exchange numbers, and that's it. The rest is history. But what can we do for you, Larry?
Esther, thank you so much. Okay, Esther, I am self-employed. I have my house free and clear, and I take my part of my house as a home office deduction. Recently, Esther, I read about Section 1215 of the recapture depreciation. So when I read about that, I called the guy who did my taxes and said, do we take the depreciation? He said no, because last year, basically, I operated my business at a loss.
Right. Well, you can't take an office and home if you're operating your business at a loss. However, he should have done the form, because what happens is the loss that isn't taken because you operated at a loss is suspended, and it's kind of like stockpiled in the back of your tax return, and in the year you make money, you kind of resurrect that loss, and it saves you in that year.
I think Chris always calls it a rainy day loss also.
Yep.
So it's a rainy day loss. Someday you can use it. So he still should be depreciating.
Right.
home.
So as long as you're trying to make money, if maybe something unusual happened this year, I would suggest you sit down with your accountant and resurrect that office and home deduction, file an amended return, so it sits in the wings, so you don't lose it when you do make money.
Okay. And Esther, let me ask quickly, which form would that be if you know off the top of your head?
An 8829.
8829. Okay. Esther, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Larry. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And you know what? That brings up another good point. If you have rental property, you actually must depreciate it. Otherwise, if you
When
go
you
to
sell it, they make
It's
you add it back
allowed
in.
or
Exactly.
allowable, and they get you in the end.
So you should take advantage of the depreciation, because when you sell it, it's going to happen anyways.
Right, you're gonna have to recapture it.
Right.
Okay, so here we are. We want to talk about education. One of the things that people are always asking me about is what can you do to save money? And one of the easiest ways you can save money is the 529 plan. Now, it's not the be all and end all of tax write-offs, but it's a really great one because basically the 529 plan allows you to set aside money for parents. This is good for parents, grandparents, friends, family, yourself, for anybody that you would like to endow in a 2 or 4 year college, vocational, technical school, graduate school in the United States or overseas. And the money in a 529 grows federally tax deferred. The qualified withdrawals to pay for education are also federally tax free. And interestingly enough, you can contribute up to $70,000 if you're single, $140,000 without filing a gift tax return. So that helps you to squirrel away some money outside of your estate. And in New York State, it's a deduction of $5,000 up to $10,000 if you're filing a joint return. So that's something. So this is a great thing, like for grandparents when they got a brand new grandbaby. Yeah. Instead of giving money that, somebody's going to use on something frivolous like a bassinet or something. I mean, you get to put it in for education, and you get to take it as a deduction.
Yep. Make sure, though, you put it in a New York 529 because each state has their own, and you may look at it and go, well, gee, Alaska's making 7%, New York State's only making 2%. I'm going to put it in Alaska to make more money. Well, then you lose the deduction on New York. It doesn't count.
However, if you put your money into a 529 for New York, you can use it in any college,
correct,
anywhere.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And a lot of grandparents are in Texas or wherever you may live, Florida, and so you think you're going to open it up there, but make sure you open it up in the. No, wait a minute.
You open it up in New York.
New York, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, other states may have a deduction, but if you're a New York resident, you want to do a
That's what
529 in New York State, and that's a really good thing to do. And it's very low fees. You know, a lot of times when you set money aside, you have to wonder about what the fees are going to be. These are very low fees, and you know, it's a great way to save for your kids' education.
Yeah. And it's an adjustment to income on New York State, and so like you said, it can lower your tax liability on the state. So it's a really great way to tax plan and plan for the kids and the grandkids. And
I'm Esther Goulias, the tax lady. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. Love to hear what you have to say. Are you worried about sending your kids to college? How have you done negotiating and navigating those waters? You got some tips to share with us? Because we want to talk about student loan mistakes. Yeah, Chris, you're going to
You know, another plan that you don't really hear about because it's not deductible is the Coverdell account.
Coverdell.
Right, and that's $2,000 a year you can put in, but you can also use the Coverdell for any education. So you can use it for private
daycare?
grade, K through 12.
Yep.
So if you're sending your kid to Nichols or St. Francis, Timon, and you're paying $10,000, $20,000 a year for high school, you can put in the 529 and use that towards that.
Not
also.
520. You mean
Or
Coverdell.
the Coverdell, sorry.
But
sorry.
it won't be tax deductible,
be
but
tax
at least it can grow
tax-free. And right now with the market being how it is,
Right.
it
You
may
actually you could use the appreciation to fund a private non-college education.
correct.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about student loan mistakes. One of the things when I was doing research is that parents should not co-sign on their kids' student loans, because in the event that the kid really can't make the payment later on, guess who has to make the payments?
I actually had that. Someone came in over the summer, and they go, my refund was taken this year. I go, why? And they go, my kid defaulted on his student loan, and I didn't know I was a co-signer on it, and I was responsible. And I said, well, how did you not know? Well, the person at the school said, just go do this, and we did everything, and we, like a moron, we signed without realizing what was happening, and so now they're responsible for $40,000.
correct me if we're wrong. Our daughter, when she went into college her first year,
Didn't have any.
No.
Wouldn't.
They would. She had a small loan. Remember
herself.
but they made us co-sign. Chris, remember?
Right, and that's part of
They
what they were
made
saying,
us.
that some of these loans don't have to be co-signed, and if you don't have to co-sign, don't co-sign, because you're on the hook.
Yeah.
But obviously you'd want to look for alternatives if there is a shortfall, and you have a home equity loan, for instance. You might want to put it on your home equity as opposed to borrowing it from the financial institution that the college is recommending, because the interest rate would be deductible to you. Now, obviously, you're really on the loan on the hook for that, but at least you have control over the interest rate and the deductibility.
Right. I mean, right now, what student loans are 6, 7, 8%.
That's right.
Right.
And talk about keep going up. Where a home equity loan, you can get
299.
Yeah. So
that's another thing. And then, all right, choosing the wrong payment plan, because many times it looks so attractive to spread that loan out for as long as possible. And
more interest.
It says the standard repayment plan pays off loans within 10 years. And that's good because you're still young.
Yep, absolutely.
Relatively.
Yep. I know, like we always joke around that I'm like the professional student. So I called my company to start setting up the payment plan, and they initially right away start telling you the 10-year option, which is great.
Which is
very
really
good.
what you want to do,
Yep.
the 10-year option.
Yep.
And if you have the opportunity to start paying on your interest right away, do it. Don't wait until the end of college, even though they're going to let you do it, because these things are like,
killer.
yeah, they're not going to go away unless you become unable to work.
Or how about get a job in a field where after a certain amount of years
They'll
that they
cancel
can
the debt.
they'll cancel the debt, like a teacher or nurse. I mean, there's certain programs for different aspects of social work, I believe.
If you're a law enforcement or social work, right, things like that. And you have to
radio. little voice in
No,
our headset
our
radio.
I don't think so.
I don't think
All
so.
right, the other thing, there's income-based
Broadcast.
programs that are for repaying student loans. All right, but that even makes the thing spread out even further.
Right.
So when I was doing all the research here for my program here today, basically they say to bite the bullet, and that means changing your lifestyle, and that's really difficult because we live in a permissive society that we like our $5 lattes.
I know a physical therapist, and he came out of school with over $100,000 in student loans, and so he couldn't. The payment he made was horrible, and so he went on this income based. But he literally went to get a traveling PT job because it paid more because he had to because his student loans were so much.
But that's a really good conversation to have. If you're somebody with student loan debt, you really need to take a look and say, what do we need to do? Because we need to whittle down this debt because it's going to stay with you until your grave. So that's something you definitely want to do. And that's something at EG Tax. If you need somebody to just sit down and help you do with the budget, we're very happy to do it. And it's good to have a devil's advocate, somebody to look at options for you. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We're going to break right now for news. We'll see you on the other side. Okay, you got me, Tyler. I knew the wedding march.
That's the Gin Blossoms.
The Gin Blossoms?
Yes.
And what song is that?
Hey, Jealousy.
Hey, Jealousy.
Yes.
That's what'll happen if Steve ever sees
Another
his,
Erin.
his wife Erin with somebody. He'll have Hey
true.
Jealousy. Okay, but we were talking while the news was on about what you did for your student loans.
Yes. Actually, my student loans, I went for 4 years, and then I pursued a master's degree. So I had 6 years worth of student debt coming out. I went to UB, so it wasn't
That bad.
outrageous,
Right.
but it's still pretty high. And when my payments came due, I contacted the bank servicing my loan, and I applied for income-based repayment options, which would have been lower than the lowest tier they had on the 4 things I could have chosen.
Right.
The person I was talking to in customer service then informed me that I could actually apply for an income-based a furlough for 1 year.
Which stops the interest altogether.
Stops interest altogether except for the unsubsidized loan, which New York State doesn't even really, or the federal government really doesn't even do anymore for college. It was like something,
But so you
older.
actually had it for furlough.
I am still in the midst of a furlough, yes, and the only one that's accruing interest is the smallest of the 2 loans.
But here's the thing. You were proactive.
Yes.
If you didn't call,
I'd be in very bad shape right now.
And that's a really good point too. And I really thank you for your input.
And also, you can actually renew that furlough. I think you can reapply for it if you're still in the same financial situation. You can actually reapply for it for another year.
So, and again, but if you're listening and you have student loan debts and you think that we talk about this all the time, putting your head in the sand doesn't work.
Contact your bank.
You contact
That's
your
what they
bank.
told me to do. They said, you ever have a question about anything, contact us.
And then again, if you're unable to work and you're having financial troubles, there's a possibility that you could have your student loan completely forgiven, and you're going to have to basically go before a judge and prove that you're unable to work. But situations change.
That's
You know,
right.
Yep.
and
That's
don't
right.
think that you can't do anything to improve your situation. Thanks, Tyler.
Right. If anybody out there is listening and they have ideas, give us a call, 8030930, star 930 on your cell phone. Chime in, ask us tax questions, talk about student loans,
But all right, back to the student loans. Here's another one. Assuming you need a loan, how many times in other words, living lean is a really good way to do it, as opposed to it looks like easy money. When you're 18, It looks like easy money. When you're 48, still paying that loan from 30 years ago, it doesn't look like easy money, right?
No.
So and then keep track of your debt. Then the other thing is cutting the cost of education. Do you really have to go to that private university?
That's right. Yeah, because there's so many people around here. You think you got to go to a private one. I know Chris's brother, his son is going off to school, and so he was deciding about UB or Notre Dame. And so
Oh my. Oh my.
he opted for Notre Dame, but you know, you want to
Oh,
weigh
my.
those, and he has a big scholarship.
He's getting a huge scholarship.
Well, I mean,
but
right,
but
then
still, you got the costs of
you do.
transportation,
and
food.
sometimes the better thing to do is to say first 2 years local, and do your graduate. I mean, not your graduate, but when you're getting your degree, get the degree from the higher, assuming that your credits will
Yeah.
cancel.
Well, I know I have a nephew who he's very smart. He was away at a college, away from home, and he goes, "Why am I here paying $30,000 a year when I can move back home and pay $7,000?"
Boy, that's so smart.
For his last year and a half of school, he's moving back home.
I mean, that is so smart. Sometimes I wonder if kids aren't just going to school just to get away from home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another way to save money. I was walking around by the office the other day, and because I try to do a 3-mile a day walk, and I'm walking by all these condos by UB, and I thought, gee, for getting ready for the show, I wonder how much those condos cost.
Right.
You can get a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo around the MJ Peterson apartments, okay? What did I say? $79,000.
$79,000.
That's what they want. $79,000. The payment would be $683, including taxes, interest, and insurance.
Wow.
And if you rented out the bedroom for $500 with a roommate, that means that your student would pay $186 a month. I mean, as opposed to $9,000 in tuition.
Yeah.
I mean, in housing.
And then if you're a parent, you can possibly take a Schedule E write-off for the other part that you rent out, and it's a really good proposition.
I mean,
And
that
it's something-
is a way to really reduce the cost of sending for your kid that has to go party hardy.
Right.
You might want to buy the condo and put them in it. And
Right.
and around UB, we're really lucky in Buffalo because things are really inexpensive here.
Yep, they are, and there's a lot of different options in schooling.
And it was 1,000 square feet.
God.
It's on for
Ridgely.
all parents wondering where it is. Go to Realtor.com. It's a condo right by UB,
Christie Park.
Christie Park.
And
yeah.
that's thinking outside the box. And that's what you are really good at. And if people call our office, sometimes that's what we do. We sit down and think outside the box.
Or even, with UB here, you got the South Campus. Look at the housing around the South Campus. I mean, you're not.
Then there you might end up with a double for
Yep.
48,000.
Right.
Yep.
And have three. North Buffalo South Campus, 3-bedroom. You'd be getting like $3,000 a month.
Yep.
It's a bigger unit, more management, but that's another option. Again, your kid would then live there for free. And actually, if you hired them to manage the unit, then you'd be
can
able to
write
take
that
the
off.
expense off for the management, right?
That's right.
As your rental loss, you got your kids living there for free. You got all the other kids that he's managing. Huh?
And what a
Beer
great
pong on Tuesday.
Yeah.
what a great experience for your kid to be able to learn some management skills and some responsibility, and it's a great proposition.
And the other thing I was looking at when I was researching for this show, there is a consortium of oh shoot, I forget the name of the thing, but anyway, where you can actually go to an out-of-state school for a 20% discount if you go through this consortium of schools, and it was at shoot, I can't remember the name. I remember when I'll let you know next Saturday. But so you can actually go to an out-of-state school with a 20% discount if you go through this particular website. So it's a group of schools that got together and said we will reduce the fee
tuition.
to 20% if you go through us.
But that's one thing, if your child does want to go away, New York State's huge. Look at, even going to, University of Albany, that's still a SUNY school. They're still going away. They're still, but you're paying in-state tuition $6,000 a year compared to $25,000-$30,000 by going to a school in Pennsylvania.
That's absolutely correct. But then again, that comes down to it's a very tough decision to sit down and talk to your kids and say, No, we're not going to pay for it. But you know what? You're doing the best thing for them long term.
Well, look at Tyler. Tyler paid for 6 years, and it doesn't sound like mom flipped the bill for much at all. So you're fortunate
Nope.
when you have a parent who'll pay for something.
Right. That's true.
I mean, and we have a great school in our backyard, UB. Look how many foreigners come in, people from New York City who send their kids
Oh,
here.
and that's what that really
that's-
blows my mind. We do a lot of tax returns from these kids from UB, and they come in. And I'll say, "So where are you from?" They say, "Hi, how you doing?" Oh, you're from New York. Yes, I'm from the Bronx. Well, where are you? Why are you going to UB? Because it's a great school. Wow. And so here these kids are going to go back and compete in the number one competition, except you take out Hong Kong, area in the world, and they're going to UB for their education. Rebecca's in that business fraternity, and they're all from New York
Oh yeah,
City.
And I have people that her friends come to our house and they swear we live in the country because there's not people.
You have an acre of land? Oh my gosh, we have 10 feet.
Yeah, that's true. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We want to hear if what kind of situations that you're going through. Have you had those conversations with your kids about education? Did you let them go out of the area in another state? They paid the long dollar. Now they're all regretting it. Just, because sometimes you really get courage when you hear what another parent did. I know with my own kids, and I love them very much. They were making all their plans to go out of state, and I said, nope, you're going to New York, to SUNY schools.
If you
That's
want
where
me
you're
to
going.
pay for it.
Right, if you want me to pay. I said, if you're going to pay for it, knock yourself
Didn't
out.
you have like two of them who wanted to go to the same school Brooke
Right.
Shields went to?
Right, that's right. I did. And I said, if you're going, if you got Brooke to pay for it, that's great. But if I'm paying for it, you're going to UB or Buff State. And they both have great jobs right now. So, and a wonderful family and everything. Okay, I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, 8030930, star 930 on the cell phone. And Tiffany, we also have 10 things people can do to improve their
financial security, which is also a very important task. So I think we're going to talk about that on the other side.
All right, we're going to take a short break right now for some commercials. We'll join you on the other side with some phone calls. See you in a minute. I can even play that.
I can't. I'm not
I can
talented.
play that. Oh, maybe I can't play it.
Maybe.
No, I can't play that.
No.
No. What is it?
You got to bring in the guitar someday. That's Reptilia by the Strokes.
Raptilia by the Strokes.
Yes.
Wow. That was one of my favorite songs.
Oh, a
Not
band from New York.
Iguanas.
You're talking about New York.
And the Raptilias. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, 8030930, star 930 on the cell phone. We got Maureen holding from Lackawanna. Hi, Maureen. How can we help you?
Hi. I was just saying, telling the guy on the phone that my daughter, she goes to FIT, but because we don't live in one of the boroughs, I had to prove that we lived in the state of New York in order for her to get in-state tuition. So I'm thinking maybe there's some other students who are living in the state of New York but goes to college in one of the boroughs. If they're paying out-of-state tuition, they might want to check into looking at that in-state tuition by going to their city hall
Yep.
and getting a letter to verify, because that took $3,900 off of her tuition.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I know that there's been many times I've taken online classes and they were like classes in other parts of New York State. And so I actually had to fax the school proof that I was a New York State resident. So, Maureen, you raise a really good point. If you're paying out-of-state tuition, call the bursar's office and say, I live in state, and I'll fax you proof that I do, so I can have that lower tuition.
Right. When you're borrowing money many times, especially with kids, they don't think about, gee, I got to pay this back, And
Right.
so they don't care about the debt that they're creating as long as they can get into the the school. But that brings up a really good point, because if you can save money and it isn't on your billing and it isn't on the loan, now's the time to clear it up, because I deal with clients all the time who are trying to work with Nelnet and everybody to reduce their liability, like maybe a class was charged that they really didn't go to, and it's almost impossible to get through to some of the bureaucrats. So that's a great suggestion.
Okay, and my other question, my question is, last year I paid for her to go to school.
Okay.
So, like whatever the grants didn't cover, I covered.
Right.
So, but this year I want her to go on her own. And as far as her filing her taxes, is it better for me to file her and continue to do it that way,
right.
or is it better for her to do it herself?
Are you working?
Yes, but she will probably make, maybe she might make, say like the rest of the year, she might do $3,000.
Okay, so it'll do zero good for her because she doesn't pay any income tax, okay? So for her to take the credit, she's not entitled to the refundable portion, so you lose $2,500.
Well, also,
or whatever portion of the tuition.
Do you have any other children at home?
No.
Okay.
No. She's the last.
Okay. Is your income under 35,000?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
you'd lose the earned income credit too.
You lose head of household, earned income credit. So not only the education credit, you're going to be losing a whole bunch. So
Maureen, you're looking like $6,000 you'd lose.
Okay. So I will claim her.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you can, if you come into one of our offices, we'll show you, if she's right there, we'll show her what she would have gotten, show you what you would have gotten, how much everybody loses, and so give her some of the windfall that you're getting, and usually that makes them happy.
Yeah, it's not something she wanted to do. I was just trying to give her some independence.
Right, I got it.
Push on along the way.
I got it, but it really shoots you in the foot.
Lose anything.
Right, but it would shoot you in the foot, so you don't want to do that.
Oh no! Especially when I probably end up paying whatever is not covered anyway.
That's right.
And Maureen, I'm sure she's under the age of 24, right?
Oh yeah, she's only 18.
Oh
yeah. See, the whole thing is
to her second year.
The whole thing is the federal government has designed this program to benefit the parents, because it's the parents that the burden is laid upon, and you can appreciate that you want them to grow up and give them independence, but if in this situation it would be not very good for you. It would really hurt you.
Okay.
Thanks, Maureen.
That's what I need to know, and thank you.
Thanks for your call. Bye-bye.
Yes, she brought up a good point. Check your bill, because I've seen it even with Rebecca too. You don't get a paper bill anymore. Everything's electronic. UB automatically bills you for health insurance for the student.
Good point.
Well,
that's a good point.
And you have to prove to them that they're covered. Otherwise, there's $3,000 added a year. Well, times that by 4, that's $12,000.
Right. I mean, that's a great point.
And they did. They put that on her bill. Yeah.
Well, it's like, quite frankly, that's the way it is with everything. Right. Everything's electronic, and I have to check all of my credit cards that come in, because there might be a something that I charged 5 months ago, and all of a sudden they're doing a little $12 charge now as a monthly, monthly charge, and it's terrible. So anyway, I'm Esther Galius, the tax lady. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. All right. So what are some of the things that people can do to improve
financial security is a wonderful thing to aspire to. And so there was an article in the Buffalo News that said 10 steps to financial security. Number 1 is making appearances your top priority. Many people try to appear wealthy by buying a lot of stuff and trying to look like the people they aspire to, their neighbors, TV ads, whatnot.
You mean keeping up with the Joneses?
Right. But by having these new things, it's not what wealth looks like. Spending money on fleeting status symbols is no way to build wealth or happiness.
So the whole thing is another way to put it is that you need to take and invest in your future instead of investing in stuff.
Right. And sort of like what you said with you want to go to college, you might want to go to Purdue or Princeton, but really UB or Buff State might be just as good. And so status symbols don't always.
Well, and then the other thing is a lot of kids are getting 4 years degrees that are doing absolutely no good for them. I mean, there just aren't any jobs, and they're getting the degrees, and they're just going to debt for nothing.
How many clients have you, what's your daughter going for? Oh, ancient Roman history. Oh, what are they going to do with that? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, get a degree, you can get a job in.
Right. That's right.
Minor in something else.
Right.
Pay
Right.
attention to it. But Esther's absolutely right. I mean, maybe you might want to go get a trade, become a welder, become an electrician. Go-
Oh, I mean, electricians and plumbers.
Yep, yep.
Nobody want every kid that comes to so what are you going? What are you studying? Will you be? I don't know what I'm going, but I'm going for my 2-year undergrad. Well, why don't you become? Do you like it? No, I hate it. Why don't you become an electrician or a plumber? Oh, I don't want to go into the trades. Yeah, I guess you don't want to make $50 an hour.
Well, but then I had another client. His father was in the union, and that's what he wanted to do. But his father made him go get a 4-year degree, and now he's in the union. He said, "I told my dad what I wanted to do."
Yeah.
But you never know.
Well,
But look at, one thing is, look at Detroit. How many kids right out of high school thought, oh, I'm guaranteed a job with Ford and GM
Right,
and all
right.
that. And now those jobs got cut back. So a 2-year school is a good start to anything. And then, in the meantime, you can hit a trade school
but again,
also,
you
and-
need to have that talk with your kid about, do you really want to go to school? Because to go throw away the money on tuition is a terrible thing, right?
Yep.
Okay, but so the point is right here in your thing, Tiffany, that you got from the Buffalo News, is that take some of that money in status things. You buying 5 more flat screen TVs. Put some money into investments.
Right.
Invest in your future.
Do you
Put
really
money
need
into the
that
529
new speedboat?
plans. Pay off your loans. Pay off your credit cards.
Right.
Okay, what's number 2?
Number 2, working for the weekend. People who work jobs they hate often find themselves using their money to try to buy happiness. Instead, find work that fulfills you. After all, if you like your job, you will never have to go and work a day in your life. So anyways, sort of like what we were saying, find something.
I love my job.
Hello.
But I'm going to tell you, even when we work really hard, it really hurts.
Yeah.
It does hurt, and it's. But even though I love my job, it still does hurt when you're working
Yeah.
hard. But I will tell you, finding a job you like is great. But many times, I can think back some of the old timers that used to just go to work mindlessly because they had to provide for their family. Sometimes you got to really say, boy, those were the good old days. Those people that went to work day after day after day after day.
Yeah.
My dad, I can think of, went to Ford Motor Company because I'm from Detroit originally, and he did it for 30 some years.
Right.
Provided food for the table. Now we have people that say, if I don't like it, I'm not going to work. So there is a balance.
Yep. A lot of my Facebook friends are my clients, and I saw on Facebook yesterday one of my clients put another great job at the hair salon. She says, I love my job, and that's what it's all about. She said she loves what she does.
But you should work.
Yes.
But you should work. I don't care if you like it or not. You should
Yep.
work. I can think of a very successful lady that I knew that her husband left her, didn't know what to do, and she cleaned houses for a living to put her 4 kids through college, and I really respected her. It was hard work. She didn't like it, but she did it,
Well,
and she worked.
We know somebody who moved out of town, way out of town, with her husband who's in the Army, and she's in social work, but to get a job, she became a bank teller.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because working is really important, whether you like it or not. Someday you'll find something you like. What's
Yep.
number 3, Tiff?
Number 3 is playing the victim, blaming others who have misguided people, rationalize their bad habits and poor decisions. So, in other words, don't blame other people for your misguided steps. You have to put the blame at yourself and look at yourself and take ownership.
Boy, but in our society, that's another thing. We love to blame other people. It's
Right.
not my fault.
Right.
Not my fault.
Right. You just have to.
My mom's fault. It's my dad's fault. It's my brother's fault. It's my sister's fault. My teacher's my guidance counselor. Ultimately, the buck stops with you. You got to make the best out of your life.
Right.
What do we got next?
And we got number 4 is living for today. There's nothing wrong with being in the moment, but behaving as if there's no tomorrow is a surefire way to make your life miserable. Tomorrow will almost certainly come. And so, in other words, make sure you plan for the future. Plan for the future. So
Well,
you
that's
wanna
just
look
like
at your,
number 1.
Yep,
Buying
401k.
junk. Yeah.
Yeah, but you want to put money away for your retirement. You want to put money away for investments. I mean, you just want to make sure.
And you want to
that-
pay off your credit cards,
Yep.
and you want to go to work, and you want to get an education if that's where your bent is.
That's
right.
right.
What
That's
have we
right.
got next?
The next one is not nursing lifelong learning. Education.
Of all people to read that.
Education, or it says not pursuing lifelong. So education shouldn't end
Oh.
once you've graduated from school. Just about any expert will tell you the most reliable way out of poverty is education. So this is saying not pursuing lifelong learning. So, we were talking about having those hard conversations with somebody. Do you really want to go to school? But then another thing that I was thinking about when Esther and Chris said that is sometimes you want to strike while the iron is hot. And so when those kids are first getting out of college, going to get a job is fine, but sometimes it's hard to get back into school again. So you really, really, really want to make sure.
And then
that you're
sometimes you need to
cautious.
change your career path, right?
Right.
I mean, if you were, when they were delivering ice before there was refrigerators, and you were a horse guy, maybe that's changing, and you had to go become a mechanic. I mean, things change, and especially learning how to do computers. It's really, really, really important.
I mean, how many clients have I had? I've had a few clients that couldn't find a job, so they went back to school and they got a trade.
That's right.
And so go back to school.
Anyway, if during the week you need any help, if you want to come in and do some budgeting, if you have any tax questions, getting love letters, come on in and see us. The other day I just saw somebody, 3 letters. I saw all 3 letters. They didn't owe the money. So don't pay those letters from the IRS until you come see EG Tax. There's no charge for us to look at it. Until next Saturday, I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, with Chris Fabian, Tiffany Fabian. We're on our way to the wedding. We'll talk to you later. Have a great week. Bye-bye.